Hi friends, in this series of video which we have named as Alphabet of Ethics, today we would be discussing aptitude. Okay, it is like in the third stanza of syllabus after ethics and attitude. Okay, so as I have discussed in my previous lecture when I was discussing attitude, the difference between attitude and aptitude, that attitude is inductive and aptitude is deductive. Okay, this is the reason why in syllabic content of aptitude it is mentioned topics like objectivity, empathy, compassion. So all these things are basically coming out from inside of you. Okay, so when we talk about aptitude per se, aptitude basically is your component of competence. It is component of competence for a particular job, for a particular work, you can say component of competence that is inherent. Okay, so component of competence for a particular work, and that work can be your physical or as well as mental. So somebody who is like sumo wrestler, they have that inherent competence, their body is full of fat. Okay, similarly a person who is very good at maths, he has competent for having that comfort level with numbers. So component of competence for a certain kind of work, that work can be physical or mental. Then we say that what is actually the connection between attitude and aptitude. See, a person can be very good at mathematics, but if he does not practice, he can be very good at mathematics, meaning aptitude. But if he does not indulges in regular practice and indulges in hard work, he would never make it to IIT. If you are very good, aptitude, your way of writing answer is very good, but if you do not practice, it leads to disaster. You know that. Okay, so we say generally aptitude, that is your inherent competence, and attitude, that is your psychological tendencies, gives rise to altitude, that means height. Okay, so these are some sentences by which you can be, maybe some question can come like discuss this statement, aptitude and aptitude and attitude give rise to altitude. Okay, so here I have tried to develop a graph. Through graph I have tried to develop that relation. See, this stands for y-axis stands for attitude and x-axis stands for aptitude. Okay. See, at this point, the person at this point, starting point, he is an enthusiastic beginner. Okay. But if that person only has aptitude, but he does not indulges in hard labor, he becomes frustrated. Very high on x-axis, but low on y-axis. But if that person has only attitude, but no aptitude, as we say, बहुत मेहनती है, लेकिन इसका जो IQ लेवल है उतना नहीं है, बट मेहनत से जो भी करता है, ठीक है. In that context, that person is laborious. He is very hard working. We say it is mind over matter. Okay, so it is very high on y-axis. Then we say, and this is the peak performance when you are at an optimized high level of attitude as well as aptitude. So maybe you need to be here if you need to compete in UPSC. Okay. Now we come to values for civil services, like values for civil servants rather. See, there are many values for civil servants. Today we will be discussing a very important value system, that is integrity. See, integrity is like doing according to your value system. Doing according to your value system. Okay. So like, and it's very hard to be to have that character or to have that persona of high integrity. Absolute integrity is very difficult in today's world. Why? For the simple reason that we are basically living in a world full of internal tussle, full of counter movements. We have people who says that environment is in danger, and we have people that says that if we would only look for environment, what about development? Even India says that now it is our time to burn coal so that we can reach to a certain level of development, and then we can think because European and American people have already developed, and for this they provide reason like per capita emission of carbon dioxide is still lowest in our country. But then these things are, don't you think that these things are basically excuses? Why don't we as a nation leapfrog into greener technology rather than going through the transition of coal and then gasoline and then gas, and then we move to solar and the other sources of renewable energy. Okay, so it's very difficult to have that quality of integrity as far as civil servants are concerned, for the simple reason that there are antithetical forces always working around. See, if as a public servant you are very much into the idea of equality, then what happens to idea of justice? If you are very much into idea of mercy, then what happens to idea of punishment? So there are lots of forces which basically is very difficult for a person to remain in that absolute status of integrity. You can have certain moral beliefs, but you have to work according to the ethical mandate that has been provided to you, and this only later on leads to what we call as dilemma, ethical dilemma. Okay, so integrity, then we come public values pluralism. Actually this is a word which basically states what I was discussing just now, that public value is not objective now, it is pluralistic in nature. If we go by the concept of justice, then we cannot provide any concept of affirmative actions. Okay, if you go by the value of mercy, then we cannot go for any corporeal punishment. Okay, so because of this public value pluralism only, the concept of integrity has become very difficult. One more thing I would like to tell, I have not written it over here. There is a concept called intellectual integrity and intellectual hypocrisy. Intellectual integrity is basically what you are trying to preach or what you are trying to teach is the same thing what you are from inside. And intellectual hypocrisy, which we like maximum people are, they would pretend as if they are the biggest lover of our country, but then on Facebook they would be posting articles related to anti-plastic. Okay, but then they would be carrying plastic in the evening time while coming with their grocery. So that is intellectual hypocrisy. Okay, then we come to political neutrality. Actually political neutrality again, actually all these things we are discussing under the topic of aptitude. Political neutrality again is a very important criteria for a professional public servant, for the simple reason why, because political neutrality is very important for establishment and sustenance of democracy. As we have parliamentary democracy, there is, after a time frame, there is like devolution of power and exchange of power from a particular set of people to another set of people. So if a public servant is very much political neutral, then that process can become very smooth. Okay, political neutrality and issues related to political neutrality has also bring in certain code of conduct for civil servants in 1958. It was again refined in 1961-68, and those code of conduct basically states that you, being a civil servant, should never engage in political activity, political canvassing. Even if you are going to vote in a manner that is like objectively defined, in a secretive manner, that is actually a secret ballot as well, but you do not have to propagate that. So any civil servant writing any post on Facebook can also make him liable for liable for punishment. Okay. So code of conduct also indulges in that you should make an endeavor that your family member should not get involved in politics or should not get into any political party, though these are very difficult to follow nowadays. Okay, and then we come to an important topic called empathy and compassion. Okay, as it has been mentioned in the last paragraph of aptitude, while while what is written in syllabus. This empathy and compassion again is like, see, empathy, compassion, and before that sympathy. See, sympathy is the starting point. When you feel sympathetic towards a person, okay, you feel that if, okay, something wrong has happened to him or her, okay, maybe you utter some words of utter some words of love and like. But then sympathy again is the starting point. In sympathy, you also indulge in having that sadistic pleasure, that okay, these things has happened to that particular person, I am saved. Okay, I thank my God. At least it has not happened to. It happens while you are traveling, or while you see a handicapped person, you feel sympathetic, genuine sympathy, and then you thank your stars that okay, at least I am not handicapped. So that is the starting point of humane emotions. Empathy again is the higher faculty, higher domain of your emotional context. In this empathy, not only you feel sympathetic externally, but you also try to fit in the shoes of that person and try to feel what he is feeling. Like it is picking up the unsaid communication of that person, picking up the facial expression of that person, and trying to frame yourself into his or her shoes, and then try to basically relocate yourself into the emotional context of that person. Okay, so empathy is a slightly higher version, and the resultant effect of empathy is compassion. You don't only get into the shoes of that person, but you also travel certain distance with that person. That means you feel for that person, you get into the shoes of that person, and then you also try to do something to ameliorate or to lessen the pain of that person. All these qualities are very important for civil servants for the simple reason that they have to engage with public. That is, public who needs to have governance at their house, or at their who needs to have governance for their daily needs, affirmative actions, national food security, then Ujjwala Yojana, then direct benefit transfer. All these issues related, because and makes it very, very important for that particular civil servant to have feeling of compassion. Suppose a person comes to you and he says that I do not have Aadhaar card, but I am not getting my food through national food security. Okay, then what you would say? Going by the document and going by the mandate, you would say that okay, first of all make Aadhaar card. Okay, that would be a simple context of a professional approach, a pragmatic approach maybe. But then when things like empathy and compassion comes up, you would make special provisions so that food can be allocated, and then you then you tell to your subordinates that see to it that all his papers are intact, and then try to make his Aadhaar card as soon as possible. That can be another way out. Okay. Now after empathy and compassion, when we talk about compassion, one more thing, the biggest example of compassion as far as India is concerned in the recent past is Mother Teresa. Okay. Then we come to rule of law. Actually, this basically sentence is comes from political science. This basically says that rule of law. That means if a law has been made in a particular context for a particular country, then that law is equally applicable for anybody at any stance. So the law is actually the ruler. The law is sovereign and it is not dependent. It is very, very important context as far as governance, efficient governance is concerned. So with this, we end our today's lecture. Thanks for watching, and keep sharing if you really are liking it. Thank you.